G'day, Ben from Melbourne here. And for those smarter than the average mouth breathers, you'll see that I have a guest again. Another bloody Canadian, by the way. And I'm not being biased and just picking people from Canada because Australia and Canada have respectful trade agreements. I will pick people from other countries depending on tariffs. But anyway, where was I? Another Canadian, another Brian who goes by Fitz Electric Bar. Welcome.
Thanks, Ben. Looking forward to it.
So I was reading your page on YouTube, and the thing that stood out to me was you describe yourself as the soupçon of concert stories, and I had to look that up. And according to Google, it was the soupçon is a very small quantity of something, and their example was a soupçon of mustard. You're like the mustard of concert stories.
Wow. I never did the research and the homework that you did. I use soupçon sometimes when I want to say just a little bit of something in addition to everything else.
Ah, okay. Well,
I
I have no.
actually could go on and on about concert stories, but I've learned pretty quickly that the fewest number of views I get is my concert ticket stories. So there you go.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
So, as you know, you will get 12 questions plus a bonus one. So, this interviewing the vinyl community quiz, whatever you want to call it, we're going with interviewing the vinyl community because that's what I posted last time. But it is kind of a quiz. You get awarded points depending on if I like your answer or not. And of course, like all good English quiz shows, the points are meaningless. So, let's get into it. First one. Justify your YouTube VC existence. Why should we watch your channel and show a record that supports this?
So I'm a bit like Brian. Maybe this is a Canadian thing where I sort of feel like, well, I'd love for you to watch my channel, but I'm hard pressed to tell you why anybody should watch it. But more than anything else, it's because I go on and on about music with all of my friends, and maybe if I get it out of my system by doing YouTube channel, then maybe people will. My friends will be a little bit less tired of my stories. So, but that doesn't really say why they should watch. But I love music, and so hopefully, I've got. I think of my channel as it basically not conveying necessarily a lot of information, but more uh, stories and kind of my passion for music. And I like other channels that show that as well. And hopefully, people like the stuff that I like, and also hopefully, I can turn them on to things that either they forgot about or they never knew. That will be my goal.
Well, we'll see if this is a Canadian thing because you guys really sell yourself short. I was not expecting people like, I don't know why people should watch my channel.
That's for them to determine. Oh, and
So,
it's
and the
a
record.
record. So I know you're a fan of this, but from watching a lot of your videos, but yeah, I think uh, I've been listening to music for quite a long time. But when punk and post punk kind of came along, um, that's when I really went in off the deep end. And Gang of Four, this record, and I guess At Home He's a Tourist and Love Is Like Anthrax, and those songs were just eye-opening for me. I loved Andy Gill's guitar playing and the vocals and the politics and just the angular and aggressive quality to this. I would argue this might be one of the first post-punk albums, but this is the kind of thing you might be seeing on my channel.
And we just recently lost, oh God, his name escapes me, the bass player, the man who put the funk into punk and made it
That's
work.
right. I forget his name too. He was amazing. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I'm going to give you a point for that. After a shaky start with no reason to watch your channel, you come back hard with a Gang of Four album. So
That's good.
1 point so far.
Good
Now,
stuff.
the next one, show a record that I like. Well, another one. You just did show a record I like.
So I know you're late to the game,
Excellent.
but a Richard Thompson fan, right?
Yeah,
And
yeah.
so I think I put this up there as maybe one of the greatest breakup albums. I like the whole idea of breakup albums for some reason. Um, yeah, the I don't know how to describe it, but this is not like a gentle poetic breakup, right? Just the whole idea of naming an album metaphorically for a relationship is "Shoot Out the Lights." It's almost like a violent breakup. I love this record. I love the way Richard and Linda Thompson sing together, and I know that you're a fan of this.
Mm. Yeah, you're right. I was late to the game because I'd hear people talk about him, and whenever I would see footage of him, I was like, "What's this dude's problem with the beret? What's going on there? Just accept the baldness, man. Let's get it off." And then I think I heard Fairport Convention, the track "Where Does the Time Go?" I think it is, and it's got that amazing guitar violin battle at the end, and I was sold.
Mm.
So excellent choice, and I reckon that's well done by you because I reckon a few people might be surprised that I dig Richard Thompson.
Mhm.
All right, it's too much about me. It's more about you. Sorry about that. Uh, all right, what is the worst record by your favorite band or artist, and why do you have it? And the caveat is we don't like on this channel sob stories. We don't want to be like, oh, my grandmother gave me this on her deathbed and all that sort of thing.
Well, like everything I do, there's two parts to this. So the one that I would choose if I had it, and I know that's not the question, would be The Clash is one of my all-time favorite bands, and Cut the Crap is a piece of shit. So,
Mm-hmm.
but I don't have it because it's a piece of shit. I'm not really a completist, so I don't have that record. But to answer your question, so that I don't lose a point, I would say I don't. I actually been re-listening to this a little bit and saying, is it as terrible as I remember it? It's not quite as terrible as I remember it, but the whole Neil Young trans vocoder. There's some really good songs in here, but the '80s production and the that whole vocoder thing makes for a very cold listen. And I understand latterly that this may have been inspired by one of his sons, who I think had
Mm.
or has cerebral palsy, and it's actually based on the idea of being able to communicate with somebody who's not able to verbally communicate. So the inspiration for it's fantastic, but ultimately as a listen, it leaves me a little cold.
I'm one of those weird people who like that record. You just got to pretend it's not Neil Young
Yeah, that's a
and
good
feel
thought.
like you're listening more to like something in the realm of Devo or something like that. But yeah. Anyway, you did very well, even though I do kind of like that record. Now this is going to be hard for you to top
Okay.
because Embryonic Brian, I thought, did very well on this. So we all know and love Vinyl Richie, right? It's got a distinctive way of talking. So give us your best. Hello, everybody.
Okay. Hello, everybody. Vinyl Rich here. 10 records that will blow your mind.
That was good. You even like took it a step further. The hands, everything. That's definitely a point. Great work.
I'm a
Great.
big fan of Vinyl Richie. I've been practicing this for a while.
I want to see what he does if I can get him on here to make him do himself. See how he does his own Vinyl Richie.
I bet he does the best Vinyl Richie of
Yeah,
all.
it's probably a good chance. Righto. Next question. What record would you play to get people to leave your party early?
Well, once again, I'm going to do a quick like two-parter. So, the band that non-music fans or people who are just casual music listeners really get their goat is some of the tracks off Yola Tango. So Yola Tango, as you probably know, can be both beautiful and enchanting and really in your face and atonal and noisy, right? So
Mm.
it would maybe be a Yola Tango song, but not a whole album. So again, to follow the rules, you mentioned I think about an album. So it would be this one, Pole. I don't know if you know Pole at all.
No, I
Um,
don't have that one.
yeah, it's a lot of noises. It's not that it's noisy. There's actually a lot of space in it, but there's lots of rumblings and loud snare drum snaps, and it's really kind of like herky jerky. And a little unnerving. I really love this record, but I have to be in the right mood.
Mm.
My wife gets very upset when she hears it, even from a distance. So I'm pretty sure that this would clear the room of anybody but the most hardened rock and well, I don't even know what you'd call it. It's not really rock and roll, but this would clear a room. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good one because there are like things which I can listen to no problem at all, but I know that if I put it on, yeah, it would not go down well. When you said Yo La Tengo, straight away I thought of their cover of Nuclear War,
I don't know that one.
so which is the Sun Ra song,
Oh,
and and it just, but it just goes and goes and goes and goes and goes. Is like just when you think it's going to finish, it just keeps going. It's that kind of thing, and it's very repetitive.
right.
Good choice. Love Yola Tango. And I would stay at your party, but I'm giving you a point.
Well, that's actually a second part, like to your whole question, which is if you wanted to clear the people, people you didn't really want to stick around, and just keep the people you want to stick around, Yola Tango is for sure the one.
Good call. Just have the good people to keep the party rocking. I like it.
Yeah, yeah.
All right. This seems to be the controversial question. Apologize for liking Van Morrison or celebrate your dislike for Van Morrison.
Okay, so um, I love Van Morrison. I know where you stand on Van Morrison.
Well,
Uh,
0 points.
So my apologies for liking Van Morrison. I guess there's again, I get two parts to this. One of them is Van the man, like who he seems to be, which I think most of us would agree is a really dislikable person. I haven't met him, but from everything I've heard, his personality, his political stance, everything anti-vax. But the second part is the music. So musically, I think he does a really good job of creating a mood in music. And I gather, again, knowing your channel and you through your channel, that you really don't like his voice and the way that he sings. And that's very subjective. But I think actually for me, he has one of the greatest runs of records. I like almost everything he's done, even up to like in the last 4 or 5 years. I haven't kept up recently. And the apology would be, you got to separate the art from the man.
Good call.
Yeah.
Um, I would you agree that from them to his solo stuff, he changed his vocal style?
Yeah, but in the same way that like anybody from the 60s who was doing kind of a rock and roll thing, who
Mm,
then became more of a singer-songwriter. I'm trying to think of who would be examples, but that whole style of singing was so different with them than it was on the solo stuff.
mm.
Um, I mean, even think of like someone like Lou Reed and the Velvet Underground, early Lou Reed, and then later maybe it was just the ravages of too much smoking, but he hardly even sang anymore. He was mostly just talking, right?
He didn't even try.
No.
There's um, if you want to see something funny, remember that classic album series? It was
Yeah.
a there was one on Transformer, and him usually they'll talk about it and then they'll play it, and he's playing on an acoustic. And if you want to see some really bad versions vocally, and even the guitar playing, it's like, what is he doing? Like, he's a
Yeah.
great guitarist, but it doesn't sound anything like the song he's talking about.
Oh,
It's
yeah.
and he's just very serious and looks very angry the entire time that he doesn't want to be there. He's another lovely person like Van Morrison, I think.
I think to a person, it seems like the his rep is not very good. Yeah, or wasn't very good.
It's hard to give you a point for that Van Morrison one, but there was a lot of thought put into that. And you didn't try and do what Embryonic Brian did and reframe the question, so I admire
Uh,
that.
oh,
So
good.
I might have to give you a point, but I hate rewarding Van Morrison. Anyway, next question. Show a record. Correct, and a great record. Love hunters and collectors. Um, I just like that one because of the VC is always about showing something specific. I just like whatever you want.
Mm.
Next one. Don't show a Canadian record. Very good. All right. Now, this is more of a scenario for you to respond to, um, which I find perplexing considering in the media and in films and all that sort of thing. Now, it's become, cool to show record players in the background of movies and TV shows and what have you. So it still always blows my mind when you come across people and and they just go with you, can you still buy records? So respond.
Yes, and some of us have a habit that is very unhealthy.
It's all about perspective, I think.
You can still buy records, and you can still buy a lot of records.
Mm. Yeah, it always blows my mind. I think I was saying to Brian that if we had a tradie in to do some work ages ago, and it's just like thought that they were books at first, and it's kind of like they're very skinny books if they are. And then it was like, you can get all this on streaming, mate. And it was just like, anyway,
Well, related to that, I'm sorry, I don't mean to
no,
uh,
no.
but um, my brother was saying to me, he was curious why I was buying because I've got all the CDs and now vinyl, and he goes, "Well, why are you buying it? Why don't you just stream it?" And I gave the usual, it's tactile and it's nice to build a library and all of that. But I started to go down this path of like, well, streaming could just get shut off or the rights might
Mm.
be not, refused, and then I wouldn't have it, right? So, and then I realized that all I was doing was rationalizing buying records.
Well, we can always find a million ways to rationalize it, that's for sure.
Totally.
Okay, number 10. Rush. Why bother?
Yeah, I can't really get behind. I would say why bother as well. I'm not a Rush fan, so the only thing about Rush is that they seem like really nice guys, but musically, I'm not interested. Yeah.
They do, actually. I have seen them interviewed and they do seem like nice guys. But
Mm.
yeah, I just can't get my head around all that fussy stuff. And
I can't either. I think if you were young and you got into Rush, maybe you stayed into Rush, but I
mm,
never did get into their music, and so it just didn't do it for me.
and yeah, Getty always sounds like someone's got him by the nuts. It's so high.
It's true.
All right, what are we up to? Number 11. Tell a story of the most unusual or funny thing that has happened at a gig you've attended or played.
Yeah. So like I said about the soupçons of concert stories, I've actually got tons and tons, and some of them I've already told, but one I don't think I've told. I went to New York City before going to Europe as a backpacker in 1981, and there was a concert at the Ritz, which was like one of the first concert halls with large video screens. And they were
Mm.
showing stuff like they'd be playing like the music of the Clash doing Police and Thieves and showing the assassination attempt on Reagan and some really like wild music, visual things. But the event that I went to it was supposed to be the farewell gig of the Dead Boys, and Joey Ramone was the MC for the night, and they showed the first screening of DOA, the punk movie. So the, all of this was listed on the flyer, right? So first of all, Joey Ramone came out, and we only saw him for about 20 seconds, and he just came out with a mic, and he goes, "These are the Dead Boys," and he threw the mic down, and then that was it for Joey. Never saw him again. But the really funny part were the Dead Boys. They were really good, but it was very messy, as you can imagine. And
Mm.
at one point, like, I guess their set, the club wanted the show to be over, right? So they were lowering the video screen, and Cheetah Chrome, the guitar player, was yelling like, "Why didn't you show us this love before we decided to quit?" And Stiv Bators was going over to the drum kit, and he wanted to like start throwing the drums around, but it was a drummer for hire, and the security guys grabbed Stiv and prevented him from doing anything with the drum kit. So that was pretty memorable. Shambolic.
I suppose that is pretty punk rock emceeing by just yelling that out and walking off. Yeah,
And so Joey, right? He's out of the
yeah,
dead boys.
yeah. That's excellent. Wow, that's a hell of a show.
Mm.
You are doing pretty well. You've got a perfect score so far, 11 from 11.
That's like saying I've got a shutout in hockey or I'm pitching a no hitter. Now the pressure's on.
I don't understand any of that, so I'll just trust you. All right. Last of the regular questions. Show your favorite music related fruit or vegetable that's not a banana.
This was a tough question. I had a hard time with this. And I
I was
was,
too easy on Brian, I think, with leaving it wide open because, of course, he was going to go the banana.
I know, well, exactly, because mine was no banana, right? I had that limitation. But
Yeah,
um, I don't love this answer, but it's going to be Herbie Hancock, and it's Watermelon Man, which is a great track. It's not a great answer, but I spent a lot of time on trying to come up with something better. I do love the track. Not really rock and roll, of course, but that's what I'm going to choose.
I was going to say, bringing a bit of the jazz into it. Yes, nice.
Yes. Poisoning it with
Well,
some jazz.
I do like Herbie Hancock, but I'm going to have to not give you a point because there was no fruit on the cover.
That's true.
We didn't see a fruit.
We
We
did
just
not.
we just thought about a fruit. Still good,
I
still
was
a very respectable score. You got 11 out of 12, and this can take you to 12 with the bonus question. What is the most remote city in Australia?
This is like the Monty Python, the last question that's just going to be impossible. Um, I mean, I'm going to, because I can name maybe three cities in Australia. I'll say Brisbane.
Not a bad guess because they're kind of high up. But it's actually Perth in Western Australia.
Really?
And yeah, there are no other major population centres in the region surrounding Perth. And Adelaide is the next closest city, which is 2,100 kilometres away.
Whoa.
So yeah, I lived in Perth in the late 90s, and they definitely have an isolationist complex. And they don't refer to the rest of Australia as like Victoria, New South Wales, and Queensland. It's over east. So
Wow. That's interesting.
but yeah, beautiful place. But yeah, it's very far away. Like I think it's probably. I think it was similar when we flew from Vancouver to Toronto. It was about 4 hour flight, and it's the same going to Perth from Melbourne. So yeah,
And is there a band from the Perth that would be well known outside of Australia?
the scientists.
Hmm. I know
Kim
the name.
Salmon, Kim Salmon's from Perth, and they were one of the early punk bands, and also Dave Faulkner's from Perth, who was in the Victims, who would go on to form the Hoodoo Gurus in Sydney. So there's a really good scene actually in that. Yeah, really, really, really good punk scene over there in the late 70s and early 80s. A lot of good bands, and still some great bands coming out of there. But
So, question from that would be for me is that, one of the things about Canadian bands is that, when they would try to build their following, of course, you're going across Canada and there'd be long stretches where there would be nowhere to play. Well, that sounds like that's, 10 times as hard as it would be in Canada.
yeah, like a lot of the bands ended up in the 80s in Sydney. That was the place, and then it's kind of shifted now since probably the 90s, where it's Melbourne has a more thriving live scene. Like Melbourne's always had a good scene. It's just that Sydney is sort of due to like not good bands or anything. It's just they had lockout laws put in and all these restrictions, and it made like a lot of venues close down and things like that. So yeah, which is a pity. But anyway, come to Melbourne, you see a gig any night of the week of something completely different in several hundred venues. So, all right, you did really well. You got a possible 11 out of 13, including the bonus question. So you equaled Embryonic Robot. So you can lord that over him when you meet up with him and say that you even got the harder fruit vegetable related question and still equaled him. So well done, Fitz.
Thank you, Ben.
Any parting words you'd like to say?
Nothing other than, endlessly promoting things. So I'm looking forward to having you with my questions set, because you and I came up with this idea around the same time, getting to know other VC channels. So I look forward
Right.
to our one.
I hope I'm not awarded points because I don't think I'll do as well as you.
Ha.
All right. I will leave a link to Fitz's channel below so you can check him out. Please subscribe to him, like him, watch all his videos. And if you're in Vancouver, say hello as well. So I
Please
might
do.
get back there one day. I loved it over there. So we'll have to hook up.
That'll
All
be
right.
great.
We'll
Thanks,
leave it
Ben.
at that because we're just under 30 minutes. And see you in the next one.
Thanks, Ben.